Do you notice that boredom comes to you quickly? If so, you are not by yourself. Boredom affects countless people daily. But what's remarkable is how different people are affected by boredom in various ways. Some individuals always get bored. You're probably attempting to figure out why you get bored so quickly if you're viewing this video. That's a fantastic initiative since it shows you are conscious of what you prefer to avoid happening. I am Caden with expertise in self-development and finance. In my channel, I will tell you different ways to invest money and become a better version of yourself. What exactly does being bored mean? The sensation of boredom is often described as fatigue or malaise brought on by a loss of interest in one's current task or by being vacant and unsure of what to do. When it comes to dealing with boredom, many people have different coping techniques. One individual might choose to divert oneself, for instance, by reading a book they find exciting or taking a walk. Another person might seek external stimulation, such as making phone calls to friends or viewing a movie. Evidently, how our brains are wired dramatically influences how we feel and handle boredom. Why you always feel lonely and bored. You may be perpetually bored and lonely for a variety of reasons. We must also define their key distinctions to comprehend why we feel these emotions appropriately. We must do this to prevent you from mistaking your boredom for loneliness and vice versa. Despite having some similarities, these two are ultimately distinct entities. What does the word bored mean? When you're bored, you experience a lack of excitement and a sensation of dissatisfaction that makes you angry. No matter what you're doing, boredom might still strike. When you are engaged in an activity, yet you still feel bored, this indicates that the activity isn't satisfying you. You find no value in it and no interest in it. Therefore, the reason for boredom is a lack of stimulation brought on by uninteresting activity. What does the term loneliness mean? On the other hand, loneliness is a very different thing. No matter what you do, your mood is always hidden whenever you're lonely. Everyone encounters loneliness regularly, which is entirely normal. However, some people have been dealing with this for weeks, even years. At that point, it starts to cause significant issues. When your life feels empty or lacking in purpose right now, you're lonely. Either you have nothing to hold on to or lost something significant to you. There are both internal and external causes of loneliness. If your loneliness has an external cause, this suggests a significant event has occurred and is making you feel depressed. This can include, among other things, losing a loved one, getting into a fight with a buddy, getting dumped, having your work suffer. If you're lonely because of an inside problem, your thoughts are the source of the problem. When the cause is within, no matter what you do, you'll always feel lonely. This situation is quite tricky because it becomes worse the longer it persists. If it hasn't already, this could potentially result in clinical depression. You don't interact with others enough. The reason you find everything uninteresting is that you don't socialize enough. Many people have experienced the feeling that everything is dull during this epidemic. People may start to cut back on their social activities or other aspects when this happens. Even though people can't meet in person, social media use has increased significantly. You can still hang out with your pals digitally and communicate with them via phone calls or video calls. You'll need to put out an effort to extend invitations to people in your life if you want things to be more exciting and everything to be anything but boring. You're feeling down. Perhaps you're depressed, which is a significant factor in why everything suddenly seems uninteresting. Depression can make enjoyable things monotonous and significantly reduce enjoyment, leaving you bored. Depression also contributes to a loss of motivation, which prevents you from being as productive as you once were and makes everything seem dull. In addition to the ongoing unhappiness that comes with depression, it can also make the sufferer feel as though nothing is interesting because nothing gives them any joy. Food may taste bad. Sleep may no longer be comfortable. As a result, the brain becomes somewhat numb, taking emotion away from many everyday activities that could have been engaging in other conditions. Depression can make a person feel exhausted and listless all day, making it difficult for them to undertake activities that might not appear boring because they lack the energy. As a result, everything becomes monotonous all the time. You might be used to a constant amusement and diversion. When Netflix stops working and their cell phone connection drops, many folks enter a complete panic mode. They have grown accustomed to, even dependent on, the constant dopamine rush that comes with binge watching television shows, browsing through Twitter, playing video games, or chatting with pals. They are unable to function when the continuous dopamine flow is interrupted. A neurodevelopmental issue could be present in you. Boredom is a common symptom for many persons with neurodevelopmental disorders, including attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, or autism spectrum disorder, ASD. People generally require several forms of stimulation when their mind is racing in several directions at once. Additionally, you might need help dealing with a lot of pent-up energy that is seeking to come out. People with these diseases frequently have numerous things happening at once. No one is trying to confront you. You could think there's no purpose in going on if your job doesn't challenge you and you feel like you're just coasting through it. You might put off doing your work or studying because it drains all of your energy to put in any effort. We thrive when the work or pursuit we're involved in matches or barely exceeds our skill sets. You're more likely to be utterly bored if you're a highly skilled fine artist who is only allowed to finger paint or a math professor who is assigned to teach first grade math. Similarly to this, you won't want to compete in a creative endeavor that doesn't push you or read a book that doesn't pique your attention on several levels at all. Be more intimate with those you love. Having a support system is one of the best things you can do if you're always bored and alone. There is no more unique system than spending time with the people you love, your partner, pets, and family members, if you have any. Stay connected to the people you love. You could find fulfillment there if nothing else in your life is pleasing you. Your mind and heart will benefit greatly from being surrounded by those you love and care about. You'll be pleasantly pleased with how much better you can feel right away with this. Discuss your issues. Additionally, talking about your difficulties is much better than keeping them to yourself. As a result, you should get closer to the people you love and confide in them. Tell them what you're dealing with. They may come up with strategies to make you feel better. Just talking about your issues will practically kill two birds with one stone. You'll feel better by talking about your issues, for one thing. You're also letting those you know and love assist you. Recognize and accept the boredom and loneliness that you feel. Even though you're trying your best to avoid feeling lonely and bored, you shouldn't act as if they don't exist. Recognize your boredom and loneliness. Embrace it. Think of it as a step along the way. It's only a barrier. If you think of it that way, try your best to overcome that obstacle. It would help if you accepted both your boredom and loneliness and the fact that they occurred. It's completely normal to feel bored and lonely. They keep coming up for everyone. It contributes to our humanity. We feel the desire to be more excited since we are feeling bored. We are lonely because we want to feel joyful once more. These things happen all the time. You shouldn't feel awful about being lonely and bored. Instead, embrace them as they are and begin taking action to eliminate them. You must be patient throughout this process, which is another crucial point you should always bear in mind moving forward. It's usual to wait a week before seeing the consequences of your efforts to avoid boredom and loneliness. Don't count on getting results immediately anyway. There's a reasonable probability that this will continue for some time. How do you avoid boredom? Tell us in the comments.